Sit in Sukhasana position with crossed legs. Keep your hands in Dhyana Mudra position. Little time, close your eyes. We'll start with the prayer. Starting prayer. Inhale, take both the arms over your head. Join at the top. Exhale, bring to center of your heart. Keep your eyes closed. Inhale again. Together. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityormukshiyamamridad. Om. Inhale, take the hand straight up. Exhale, bring it down through the sides. We'll be doing first loosening practices. Before that, see Tanmay, your back is like this. Tanmay, you keep your chest up. Back should become straight. Never sit like this. You have to keep your chest high and shoulders wide. And your back should become straight. So when you do Namaskara Mudra, when you inhale and exhale to heart center, your elbow should not touch the thigh. See, your elbow is touching the thigh. It's not like this. Keep your back straight. So these are the first things you have to learn. You have to first learn how to keep the back straight. Never sit like this. Now inhale, take the hands up. Exhale, bring it down. Okay. First learn those important simple things before learning all the difficult asana. Basic things you have to learn first. Now we will do the loosening practices. All of us together. Lying down in Shavasana position. After lying down, keep the legs together, hands close to your body. Inhale, stretch your toes. Exhale, pull it back. Inhale, front. Exhale, back. 5 times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale, point your toes. Exhale, pull it back. Now rotate the feet. 1, all the directions. 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bend both the legs. Keep the feet near the hips on the mat. Inhale, take your left leg up. Straighten your leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, right. Exhale, bend. Inhale, left. Exhale, bend. Inhale, right. Exhale, bend. Inhale, left. Exhale, bend. Inhale, right. And exhale, bend. Both together. Inhale, up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, 2. Exhale, bend. Inhale, 3. Exhale, bend. Inhale, 4. Exhale, bend. One more. Inhale, 5. And exhale, bend. Keep the legs there only. Inhale, spread the arms sideways. Bring it to shoulder level. Exhale, tilt your knees to the left. Look to the right. Inhale, bring it back. Look up. Exhale, right. Look left. Inhale, up. Look up. Exhale, left. Inhale, up. You have to look to the other side. Exhale, right. Inhale, up. One more. Exhale, left. Inhale, up. Exhale right and inhale up. Exhale, hands down, leg down. Inhale, both the arms over your head. Place it on the floor. Exhale, join your legs, point your toes. Inhale, left leg up without bending the knee. Exhale, down. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, down. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. One more. Inhale, left. Exhale, down. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Now both together. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, two. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Stay there for some time. One. Look at the toe. Two. Three. Normal breathing. Four. Keep the knee straight. Five. Six. Seven. 8, 9, 10. Slowly exhale, bring down. Inhale in this position, bend your left leg. Exhale, turn to the ground, to the right side. So after lying down, keep both the palm by the chest. So it should not be below the shoulder. Some people are keeping below the shoulder. Don't do that. Try to keep it a little back, somewhere near your chest. Then inhale, lift your chest, little, whatever you can. Exhale down. Gradually improve that. Inhale, two. Exhale. 2 times over. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Now stay there for a while. 1, 2, 3. Arch your back. 4, 5. Exhale down. Then inhale, stand up on the knees and hands like a cat position. Exhale your breath, keep your knees apart, feet apart, standing toe. So the toe should be, this is called standing toe. This is sleeping toe. Okay. Inhale, stretch the left arm front, right leg back. Like that. Exhale, bend. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Stay there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Touch on the knee, elbow on the knee. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale to cat position. Exhale your breath. Now other side. Inhale. Exhale. 2. Fold. 3. Fold. 4. Fold. 5. Stay there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, elbow on the knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale to cat position. Exhale, turn to the front. Sit in Vajrasana. After sitting Vajrasana, bring both your hands on the eyes. Open your eyes. Rotate the eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposite side. 1, 2. Try to look corners of the eye. 3, 4, 5. Release your hands to Dhyana Mudra. Now inhale, look at your nose. Exhale, look at one point on the wall. Inhale, nose. Exhale, wall. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, nose. Exhale, wall. One more. Inhale, nose. Stay there. Breathe normally. Little time, just 5 numbers. Exhale, look at one point on the wall. Steady drishti, ekagra drishti. Release drishti, bring your arms in front, parallel to the ground. Fist close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open. Palm down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Fist close. 1 second. Let's change the view of the. Then fist close. Rotate your wrist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands on shoulders. Straighten the arms forward. Fold, straight. Fold, straight. Fold, straight. Fold, straight. One more. Fold, straight. Now fold your arms, touch your elbows in front, rotate upward. So you have to take the elbow above your shoulder, above your head. 2, like that. 3, 4, 5. Opposite side. 1. One rotation, one breathing. 2, like that. 3, 4, one more. 5. Then interlock your finger. Inhale, stretch your arms to the sky. Even eyes stretch on the backbone. Stay there for some time. 1, straighten your back. 2, 3, normal breathing. 4, 5. Exhale, bring the hands down. Then inhale, sink to one side. Exhale, unlock your legs in front. Keeping the hands back of the body. Shake your legs little time to come back from Vajrasana. After doing that, put your chin down on the chest. Then rotate your neck. 1, neck rotation. All directions. 2, take it back, take it side, take it down, everywhere. 3, 4, 5, opposite side. 1, 2, 3, Activate your neck by doing this. One more round. 5. That's enough. Then keep the legs together, back straight, hand will become straight. Then we have to do forward bending. Inhale, take both the arms up. Exhale, bend forward, try to touch your toe. Whatever possible. Inhale up again. Exhale down. Inhale 3. Exhale down. Inhale 4. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale 5 and exhale down. Stay there for some time. So try to keep your knee straight. 1. Look at it. Look at the toe. 2. 3. Gradually go closer and closer to the legs. 4. The last moment you can gently drop your head towards the knee. 5. Then inhale, sit up, lift your hands to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands down. That's all. The loosening practice is completed. We've done about 10 to 15 minutes of loosening practice. Any doubts in loosening practice, you can ask. Anybody having any doubt? Otherwise, we'll be going to Surya Namaskar. Doubt, only in case of doubt. So now we'll go to Surya Namaskara. I will show few rounds, about maybe around 6 rounds we'll do Surya Namaskara. If you cannot hear me, you can log out and log in. After that, come to. So it's always a good practice to tuck the shirts. And also ensure that your mat is visible. So you can see I have kept the mat in such a way that you can see me. Sorry. I hope you can see me properly. So from here onwards, the breathing style will be with throat control. So first you have to come to the front of mat, and after each round, check that you are reaching the same place. So after some people, after one round they will reach here. After another round they will reach here. After another round they will reach here. So then they will realize they walked back. So they will again go. So in each round, just try to reach in the same position. So that's important. I hope you can see my height. So when I lift the arms, you may not be able to see me, no problem. So at least my standing height and the full mat should be visible when I am demonstrating. And the same way, when you are practicing, try to keep your camera about 8 feet in front. So the mat is here. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have kept the laptop about 8 feet in front, and I have ensured that there is no much light falling on the camera. If his light is falling on the camera, then it will blur. You cannot see me. The light can fall on myself, then you can see me. In the same way, I should not open the. So if I do this, you cannot see me properly. See, my video is not clear. A lot of light is falling on the screen. So don't keep the balcony open. If there is sunlight coming from outside, keep the curtain closed so that there is minimum light falling on the screen and you can see me comfortably. These are simple rules so that you ensure that I can see you. The teacher should be able to see you. Then come to Samasthiti. We'll do the starting prayer. Inhale, take both the arms over your head. How to take that? Sideways, you have to take it. Joining at the top first. You have to look forward only, don't look up. Then exhale, bring the hand to heart center. So heart center is here. Heart center is not like this. Some people, including some children, they keep like this. It is Anjali Mudra. That is not Namaskara Mudra. Namaskara Mudra is heart center, here, not on the mouth center. Keep it here. And the elbow will be wide. Elbow will not be down like this. Elbow will be wide and the palms will be together pressed. You don't have to press it too much, but keep it together. Like that. So the shoulder will become wide, chest will come up, back will become straight. If you do this, it will be like a weak person. It will be stay strong. This is Namaskaram. That we will do the prayer. Closing the eyes, inhale. Together. हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम् तत्त्वं पूषन्न पावृणो सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये ॐ Inhale, take the hand straight up. Exhale, bring it down to the sides. So we come to Samasthiti. So all the, some children are there. They are not able to stand only properly. Like Tanmay and all. You have to first learn how to stand properly without making unwanted movements. First you have to steady the legs, steady the hand, stop looking here and there. So this is all yoga only. First you have to steady what you are doing. You cannot do Surya Namaskara with 100 things. Do what first? Steady the position, steady the body, steady the hand, steady the mind. That's very important. If you have distraction here and there, you cannot practice yoga. First few rounds I will show you without any counts. I mean the timers. After that, if you want, I can show 1 or 2 rounds with the timer also. And see how I move along with the timer also. So first I am looking at your nose, Surya Namaskara. So this style of Surya Namaskara is Shivananda. So inhale, take your arms over your head. Exhale to heart. So this is Ekam. Dvi, inhale, bend back. 3D, exhale, bend forward. Chatwari, inhale, left leg back. Pancha, without exhaling, other leg back. Shat, exhale, go down. Knee, chin and chest. Sapta, sleep your toes. Inhale, lift your chest. Ashta, exhale, lift your back. Nava, inhale, left leg forward. Dasha, exhale, right leg. Ekadasha, inhale, bend back. Dvadasha, exhale. Om Mitraya Namaha. Samasthiti. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands down. Now I am looking at my nose. Ekam. Dvi. 3D. Chatwari, right leg back. Pancha, hold your breath, other leg. Shat, exhale. Sapta, inhale, chest up. Ashta, exhale, lift your back. Nava, inhale, right leg front. Dasha, exhale, left leg. Ekadasha, inhale, stand and bend. Dvadasha, exhale. Om Ravaye Namaha. Inhale, hands up. Exhale down. 2 more rounds I will do without numbers, without the counter. Ekam. द्वि, त्रीणि, चत्वारि left, पंच hold your breath right, षट exhale, सप्त inhale, अष्ट exhale, नव inhale left, दश exhale right, एकादश inhale stand up then back, द्वादश exhale, ओम सूर्याय नमः, समस्थिति, inhale hands up, exhale down, fourth round, एकम, inhale hands up, exhale, द्वि inhale then back, त्रीणि exhale, चत्वारि inhale right, पंच no breathing left, षड exhale, सप्त inhale up, अष्ट exhale back, नव inhale right, दश exhale left, एकादश inhale then back, द्वादश exhale, ओम भानवे नमः, समस्थिति, inhale hands up, exhale down. Now I will do it with the counter. So see how I move along with the numbers. See how I reach exactly on the timing. How to, when to start, when to end one movement is all to be planned properly. So I will not give any instructions because when I am talking, I cannot breathe properly. So you have to start on the right bell and stop on the right bell. So all that you, Tanmay, all these things you cut off, tring, everything you have to cut off from your mind. Stop all these unwanted things. Focus only on practice. I can see you. Don't do all these things. Now, ready for? So you have to, if you want, you can look at me how I'm doing it. It's better to do that. Observe how the things are happening. First, pick up the right technique. Then practice. Don't do now. Just observe how I'm doing it. Especially no beginners. Once the counter starts, I will not stop. I will do at least 2 rounds. Let us see. Sorry, the sound is less. Yeah, now you should be able to hear me. Om Mitraya Namaha. Ravaye Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Last round. Om Bhanave Namaha. So did you see how I was practicing along with the bells? So I was trying to start exactly on time and reach exactly on time. So when you try to do that, you will not reach early, you will not reach late also. At the same time, you have to match the three things. So the breathing has to spread the entire duration of the movement, and the movement has to spread the entire duration of the timing. So it should not happen that like a pranamasana. Now you are waiting there for the timing next instruction to come. Try not to do that. So inhale slowly, take your arms up and exhale to heart. So the movement, breathing and the timing will match. Same way, inhaling, then back, then exhaling. Just exactly on time reach. Because the timer is anyway audible to you during the class. So try to move in such a way that you match the duration with your movement and match the breathing along with that movement. So all the three should match when you practice. When you do like that, a lot of awareness will come and you will not get injured and breathing will become very, very refined. So try to practice like that. Any doubts regarding Surya Namaskara or loosening practices? Till whatever we did till now. Any doubts you can ask now. Otherwise, I'm going ahead. I think not many people are there. Maybe 5 or 10 maximum. No doubts. So now everybody is clear about Surya Namaskara.
Sir, I have one query.
Who is that? Yeah.
This is Srinivas, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in Surya Namaskar, from that mountain pose, we come back to the next pose, right? So when doing that, there is a pressure on one side of the shoulder. I just wanted to understand the technique on that.
I think sometimes when you're standing, one of your elbow is bending. I think
Correct.
your right elbow, your right hand. I've observed some Srinivas Prashant, right? Is it Srinivas?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes I've
Yes.
seen. Have you observed? I don't know. So when you're doing that mountain position like this, So maybe without awareness or with awareness, I don't know. Sometimes it is one of your hand, your right hand. I think your right hand. It is a
Okay.
little bending like this. You can see little like this. I think your right hand.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe you're trying to what do you call reduce the load on your shoulder. I think. So I'm not sure. Try to keep your arm straight when you do that mountain pose. Try to keep the elbow long, arm long, shoulder long. So when you do that, so the action will become, I mean, the body will become stronger. The arms will become stronger. Have you noticed that the elbow was
Yes.
bending?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When you have specifically pointed out, then I noticed that it is slightly rolling a bit.
So try not to. So if you make it straight, if it's paining, then I don't have a choice. So, so I'll show you some of the people how they do it. I'm not sure. I don't think you're doing that. So from here, if you take the elbow outward this way, then it'll become weak. So try to keep the elbow straight and strong, and increase the distance. Try to increase the distance of your, I mean, the length of your spine and arm. So when you do that, it will become a little more strong and it will be able to take the load. So try not to bend it. So I think that may be the reason why you feel a little pressure on the shoulder. That's what I can think of you as of now. Do you
Yes,
find
sir.
anything?
So,
Yeah.
correct, sir. So from this pose to the next pose, when you're getting your leg in alignment to your hands,
Yeah.
I feel that there is a pressure on one hand. I mean, the opposite hand. Whenever I try to get the leg in alignment. So
Yeah.
to so how do I mean if I'm trying to have the give the correct pressure on both hands and then bring my leg, then the leg is not aligning.
So when you bring your hand like this, what you can do is, so keep the this remove this palm off the floor. Come on the tip of your fingers. For example, if I'm bringing the right leg forward, so coming here, what I do is, because it can reach, but the space between the body and the leg is not proper for many people because their arms, their physical arm length and the body
Hmm.
length may be little different each person. So what when you
Right.
do that, so while you bring it forward, shift the weight to the other hand. That's the only way. And then if it is paining, then don't remove the palm. So without removing the palm, keep the leg and then put the knee down. You saw that. Why the other arm is paining is maybe because you're shifting the weight to this hand more. And
Correct. Correct. Exactly, sir. That's the pain I had like a week back. So that's why I wanted to check.
so I'll tell you one technique. So from here, what you do, bring it here, okay? Keeping the other
Okay.
knee in the air. Then keep it here. Then you just take it a little forward during whatever time is available to you. Because
Oh,
that may be the reason you are removing this hand or taking it light so that your leg will reach forward and you will
correct.
get
Correct.
space for taking the leg. So
Correct.
maybe you can avoid doing that and bring it whatever possible like this without bending the other knee. Then
Okay.
bend the knee and keep it. So some people they'll do like this. They'll keep this knee this. So this also you can try. So try
Okay.
to split your movement into two parts. Try whichever is working for you. Like put the knee down, keep the leg forward. Then the knee will take the load and your hand will not take much load. That is one
Okay.
technique you can use to minimize the weight on the front.
Okay.
Other thing is, if you find don't remove the palm. So keep leg forward like this
Okay.
and then keep the knee down. If you find there is an offset, maybe after that you can take a little step forward and then push and come. Like that. So try either of these techniques. One is, as I said, put one knee down, take the other leg. So the weight is shared by this leg and you don't feel much pressure. This may be easier. The other one is, whichever works for you, you can try. Other one is without, I think this may not work for you. This, you try this. Keep this knee down, take this leg forward. Is there a pain on the knee?
No, sir. No. While doing Surya Namaskara, I don't have the pain on knee. Only
If
the
at all,
arms, the shoulder part, I get that
it
pain.
happens, put a cloth like this so that you are now in mountain. When you keep it down, it comes on that cloth. Then take like that.
Okay.
Okay, try this
Okay.
technique. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other queries?
I also have a doubt.
So some of the queries were there. So in loosening practice, there was a query regarding Chakki Chalana. So before coming to Surya Namaskara, loosening practice happens, right? In Chakki Chalana, so imagine you are actually rotating a Chakki. So there is no need to, this was the query. This query was that, do you need to lean back in Chakki Chalana? There is no need to lean back because the Chakki is in front. These are loosening practices. Even if you lean back, nothing is going to go wrong. Only benefit of leaning back is the core muscles become a little tighter. But in Chakki Chalana, the action is in front. So first, have to keep the legs away and interlock your hands. Take an inhale here. Then exhale. So initially, you can bend the elbow. You don't have to keep the elbow straight because you're close to. Exhale, go to one leg till the middle exhalation. Inhale, come back. So when you come back, bend your elbow. So there is no need for, when you lean back, the legs will lift up. So you lose the balance also. So some people do like this, like they go back like this. So that's another method of doing that, but we don't do like that. It's better to do proper Chakki. Imagine there is a Chakki and you are doing Chakki Chalana. So when you are doing Chakki Chalana, ideally you don't do move the body. But here we just extend the body to all the direction. Exhale, go to one leg. Inhale, rotate and come back. Exhale, two. Inhale, back, like that. Same way. So when you come up, bend your elbow. When you go forward, extend your elbow. That's all. So there is no need for going towards the back side. This was one query regarding Chakki Chalana. That's in the, then in Surya Namaskara, there were 2-3 queries. The first one is, in Surya Namaskara, is it very important whether we start with left leg or right leg? As far as there are different schools. So I've seen both techniques. Some schools, they start with the left leg. Some schools, they start with the right leg. So it is okay to do both. There is nothing wrong in doing that. You can start with the left or start with the right, no problem. The only thing is, if you take the left leg back first, then while coming back, you have to bring the same leg first in that side round. For example, when I take, so from here I take the left leg back and then finish off, then take the right leg back, go down, everything over. Finally, you will reach the mountain. From here, take the same leg forward. That means if I took the left leg back, bring the same leg front first. Then bring the other leg. This is the only thing that you have to take care. As far as my knowledge goes, both starting with left and right are okay. There's nothing wrong in doing that. Some school practices starting with left, some school starts with right. Nothing wrong in either of this. But in pranayama, we do the other way. In pranayama, we start with the right nose. So we keep 2 different ways. That's all. It's just for convenience purpose. Nothing wrong in either of the techniques. Then also, why do we say mantra at the end of the round and not at the start? See, this is simple logic. For example, you would have seen, see, when do you think about the round? So when we chant the mantra and when we take the leg back, these are the 2 times we think, okay, now which is the round? Okay, for example, if the first round is happening, the mantra is Mitraya Namaha. The second round happening, Ravaye Namaha. So that is the time when, and also when you take the first leg back, that time also you will think, okay, now which round is this? Which leg should I take back? Okay, so these are the 2 times when you start thinking, which is this round? So in our memory, whatever you have done just now is in your memory. This is the logic that we use. That is, if I have completed first round, so you remember I have completed the first round. You are going to the second, okay, that you have not done. So whatever just now you completed, that mantra you have to chant. So first round is over, that is fresh in your memory. You took the left leg back, left leg front. Now you know it's the left, it's an odd number, and is the first round is an odd number. So Mitraya Namaha. So chanted mantra. Now, so now we start the second round. The moment your second round is over, you know the right leg was moved. No, just recently. You've just recently completed the second round. So that is fresh in your memory. So you can do the second mantra. So like that, it has been arranged. That's all. There are some classes where they do mantra in the beginning and then do the round. That is also fine. Even in Vyasa, they do like that. In Shivananda schools, they some classes they don't do mantra. Both are fine. The only logic here is if you you think about a umpire who's there in the cricket match, no? He will have those 6 stones in one hand. Now what he will do, after one ball is completed, he will take one stone and put it in the other hand. So one ball is completed. He doesn't put the ball first and then ball happens. No. First the bowling is done, then the stone is changed. And when the second ball is completed, he will put the second stone. Third ball, third stone. Fourth ball is completed, fourth stone goes. Fifth ball is completed, fifth stone goes. After completing all the 6 balls, he will put the last stone into the other hand. So this hand becomes empty. So after the event is completed, the count is done. Even in a shopping mall, when you go to the shopping mall, the person will click that counter of the security guard. He will click one only after the person enters. He will not click one before the person enters. So the count gets completed once the event is completed. So it remains in the memory. So that is the only logic that we use, that the mantra follows the round. Another thing is that if you are, another logic which I can explain to you is that, imagine you are now, I ask you, what is your age? Imagine you have completed 4 years, I'm giving an example, or 20 years, and the 21st year is not completed. So what will you say the age? You will say, I'm 20 years. You will not say 21. Right? The 21st year is not yet completed. So event is not over. So same logic runs here. So once the first round is over, tell the first mantra. Once the second round is over, tell the second mantra. Like that. So both are fine, but some schools follow this way, that way. So this is all simple logic, that's all. So this is how I explain that point. Then, and why we don't use the Bija mantra. See, Bija mantra, even Om is a Bija mantra. So in many schools, they do like Om Hreem Mitraya Namaha, like that. Om Hreem Ravaye Namaha, like that. So why we don't do that Hreem is that, see, except Om, all the other Bija mantras are dedication to some god in Hindu mythology. For example, Hreem is for, I think, Lakshmi, god. Then Kreem is for Durga. Like that, so many, all these other Bija mantras are chanted for some god or goddess. So it comes to all those religious things. So, but in yoga, in our system, we don't want to bring any kind of religion in the class. Om is a universal mantra, which is good for the lungs, and it is accepted worldwide. So Om is universal Bija mantra. So that is the only Bija mantra which is universally told. Whereas all the other mantras are for some god or goddess. So that's why even if you search Google and all, most of the even schools, they will do only Om Mitraya Namaha, Om Ravaye Namaha. So the idea behind this is that not to bring religious aspects into the practice. Nothing wrong in telling Om Hreem. All are good. All the mantras are good. There is no, what do you call it? Nothing against any mantra. Mantra, what is the meaning of mantra? Mantra. Man is mind. Tra is to, in Sanskrit, is to calm. So anything that calms the mind is a mantra. If I say, when I say, my mind is calming down, then that sound is also mantra. So there is no hard and fast rule that anything that calms the mind is a mantra. So only reason why we don't bring those other bijas into the mantra is that just to keep aside, people should not feel, because all the religions people are attending our classes. So we try to keep it in the minimum so that people don't feel anything different. Okay, this depending on the religion. That's the only reason. Then, so I have replied all the queries regarding Surya Namaskara. This is all what I know. Okay, I may not know many things. So whatever I have learned from my experience, I am telling to you. So then, in which asana we have to apply Mula Bandha? At which point in pranayama? So comes to pranayama there. So Mula Bandha means locking the sphincter muscles. Sphincter is a muscle between the anus and the reproductive organ. The muscle which comes in between the anus and the reproductive organ is sphincter muscles. So that muscle should be pulled up in while practicing asana. So one simple rule I will tell you is, whenever we reach the final posture of the asana, I'm not talking about the movements. For example, now if I'm doing say Virabhadrasana, like from here, from the left side I start. Take come inhale, take the right leg. Now the action is going on. Do you exhale, turn your right foot. Then inhale, open your arms, looking at your hand. Chatwari, exhale, bend the knee. So once I reach there, you can see all the lower part of the body is all getting tight. Now, Mula Bandha is a technique to generate energy into the system. So, while staying in the asana, most of the asanas at that time you can contract the anus muscles, pull it up. Not while the movement is happening. So once you're moving about, don't do Mula Bandha. Once you reach there in that Virabhadrasana, once you're staying there, now this is a strong position. You need strength of the body and leg and hand. Now, generally what will happen when you tighten your arms, legs and all, automatically the anus will lift up. You will be able to catch the sphincter muscles. So after reaching the final posture of the asana, most of the asanas you can do Mula Bandha, locking the anus. When the breath is going on, the counted breath, inhalation and exhalation is going on, you can do Mula Bandha. There are actually 3 bandhas in that area. So one is Ashwini Mudra, second is Mula Bandha, and third is Vajroli Mudra. So generally all these 3 things will be together done. So when you lock only the anus, it's called Ashwini Mudra. Like you have seen, Ashwa means horse. Horse, no, you would have seen how it contracts its anus. So only the anus contraction is called Ashwini Mudra. Now the area between the anus and the reproductive organ, the sphincter muscles, when that is the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is contracted, that is called Mula Bandha. And finally, when the reproductive organ is also pulled inside, pulled inward, that is called Vajroli Mudra. So we generally pull all the 3, Mula Bandha, Ashwini Mudra, Vajroli. So everything will be contracted. So it will be pulled inwards when you stay in that asana. So that's one technique to generate the energy for practicing. Because when you lock it, the energy is not lost. That's the Mooladhara Chakra, origin of all the energy. So you're locking it and allowing to build up the energy in the system. With experience, I have found it's very beneficial. You'll feel strong and the energy comes into the system. And all the other asanas like Sarvangasana and all, you're already ulta. And that time automatically the energy will be pulled down because the body is in inverse direction. Karna Pidasana, Supta Konasana, all these asanas where the body is up and the head is down. Shirshasana, all these asanas, Vrishchikasana, all these asanas, automatically that action comes. Okay, that's all. So all the asanas you can practice this, don't worry. Then another query regarding so I have explained this one. Then what point pranayama? Pranayama will come in the last. Then Virabhadrasana 3. So I think it was asked by Himashri. She has asked about Virabhadrasana level 3. So we start from Samasthiti. I may not have proper space. First take an inhalation. Now exhale, take your left leg forward. So see, it is possible to start from here. Like inhale, take the arm up, and exhale, bend forward. This can be done. The problem with this is you will not get the balance in an intermediate class. So even with seniors, quite possible that you will lose the balance because you are lifting the leg which is having a load. See the logic that I have used. So there is load on both the legs, correct? Now, when I bend forward, I am taking one leg off, which is already loaded. I am taking load off the leg, which was taking a load. When I take the leg up, the entire load shifts to the other leg, and you will start falling. Try doing that, you will fall. So this is the reason why we take one leg forward. So when I take one leg forward, now wait. So I've taken leg forward with an exhalation and caught the waist. That's an exhalation. Now inhale, shift the weight to the front, take the arm up. You saw that. The other heel has come up. Now there is not much load on this leg. The load is on the front leg. So I am not going to lift one leg which is loaded. This is loaded but very less. So I am just lifting the leg which is less loaded. You see that? So I'll get slowly, I'll be able to balance. You got it? So from here, when I took the leg forward, then exhale, bend forward, and I'm taking up the leg which is relatively less load. So I look at the screen, I will fall. When I look forward, I should not fall. Like that. Then, after finishing 3 breaths, inhale, come up. Now, why I land behind is of the same reason. Instead of coming here, you lose the balance if you do that. So I land behind and take the weight on the other leg. Then exhale, put your hands down. Now, inhale, walk forward. See, walking forward, why I do that is because if you walk back, you'll again not get the proper balance because your loaded leg is in front. Then I walk forward. Now, in the next time, the second side, when I do that, I should not take the other leg front again because I started from there. When I do this, then I will, after this asana, you land here. Then again, you have to walk all the way back. So instead of doing that, take the other leg back. Shift the weight. Now, inhale, again shift it to the front leg. Back. Come up. Put your phone. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, walk forward. Exhale. This process is designed in such a way that the chances of losing the balance is minimized. That is the only reason. You can do this asana just like this also. Inhale. Balance. Then inhale. Exhale. Then inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. If you do this, I have observed many people will start falling. So try to follow those 6 steps. The chances of losing the balance is big. Please mute your phone. Who is keeping the phone open?
Not me.
You are speaking, then you are unmuted now. Okay. So that's how. So the idea of taking those 3 steps front, 3 steps back is all to minimize the chances of losing the balance and shifting the weight so that when you lift the leg, that leg is not loaded and it is free so that you can lift it easily. When you lift something which is taking the weight, you will fall. That's the only logic. Then I had one query, what are the right steps of Shirshasana? So I'll come to that. Before that, at what point in before pranayama regarding Chakrasana, who was that? Anju, I think. Is she there on the class? I don't know. Anju, are you there? She's already quit. Anyway, I'll explain. The question is that how, yeah, you're there.
I'm in the class, yeah.
Okay. Chakrasana pose, wheel pose, I'm not able to lift my back and go to pose, I think okay. Yeah, the reason especially is that, see, Chakrasana is a little intermediate or little advanced asana. It's not advanced asana, but little intermediate level. Exactly what you thought is right. The reason why you're not able to lift can be two reasons, three reasons actually. One is improper placement of the legs and palm. That can be one. The second reason is that your shoulders, the back of the shoulders, may not be strong enough to push the body upwards. That can be another reason. And most common reason is that the back is not flexible. So as I have kept telling people, there is no need to run behind the asana. When our spine or our body is ready, the asana will automatically come to us. This is what I have seen last 1 years. How many years I have taught all the classes? Many people know some people took 6 months, some people took 1 year to reach chakrasana. They all kept on doing. The only thing they just kept on doing. So finally, automatically they came up. So what you should work on is the preparatory asana before chakrasana is what you should work. So I'll show you that. So what is the preparatory asana for chakrasana? Anybody? Setubandhasana, bridge post. So that in another month it will be this one, Matsyasana. So, but Matsyasana is not as effective as Setubandhasana. You should do Setubandhasana properly, then only go to Chakrasana. So we come to Samasthiti first. Inhale, take the arms over your head. So don't do asanas without steps. Always do step by step. So if you don't take the arm, the shoulders are not ready. So when I stretch the arm upward, the back of the shoulders will become longer. So that is essential for lifting your body in Chakrasana or Setubandhasana. So people, what they do from here directly, they will bend the leg and then lift up. What happens? Your shoulder is not ready for Chakrasana. That's the reason why you're not able to lift up. So inhale, take the arms over your head first. Exhale, activate your toes. Point it forward. Then inhale, bend the legs. Keep it away from each other. So these are techniques. Don't keep the leg close to each other too much. Little is fine, but it is better to keep it almost at shoulder distance. So when I put the hands down, I will be able to touch. I mean, it will be in the same distance of the arms, not closer, not wider. Keep it exactly on the shoulder distance, so that the planting of the feet is proper. That is exhalation. Then inhaling, lift your body in the air. I mean the hips in the air. That's it. Now stay there, exhale. Counting the breath. Then inhale. So here, try to increase your height. So work on this more and more. The more you increase the height, the more easy your chakrasana will come. So how to increase the height? There are two techniques to do that. One is the grip on the ankle should be very good. You have to catch the ankle. I never say touch the ankle or keep your hands near the ankle. No, I always use the word catch. Purposefully I use the word. Catch means everybody will know. Catch. So you have to catch the ankle properly. It's a very common word, no? That's why I use it. Catch the ankle. So this grip should be very firm and strong. And with that grip, you have to inhale and lift. Now, this is the first technique. Now, you should not stop here. Now, if I stop here, my height is not enough. Now, second technique is more important. What I'm going to do in Setubandhasana. You have to observe my shoulder. Okay, now. So I inhale. Then I rotate the shoulder. See, my shoulder went inside. So I roll the shoulder downward. Roll your shoulder towards the floor and then lift the body a little more. So catching the ankle, inhale, lift up, then roll the shoulder down. Now I've got a good height. So the chest has come and touched the chin. Like that. Now the height is very nice. When this height is there, without dropping the height, change your hands here. Now, so beginners, what you must do is, instead of directly lifting up, lift the shoulder and keep the head down this way. You can wait here for a little while others have gone up. And then with that position, push like that. Got it? Like that. Then walking. So what did I say? From here, from here, I was in Setubandha, roll the shoulder down, maximize the height. While exhaling, change your hands here. Instead of directly lifting up, lift the shoulder, put the head down. If you want to take an exhalation here, and then inhale and rise up. Like that. Then, if you want, you can walk inside. Like that. Increase the height of your chakrasana. Exhale, come down. Inhale, leg down. Exhale, hand down. So what did I explain? Just to recap, work on your back bending, all the back bending asanas like Ushtrasana, Setubandhasana. Whenever you do Setubandhasana, two things: catch the ankles, grip firm, lift high, then maybe on the second exhalation, roll your shoulder down, increase the height. Once your height is good, place the palm firmly with wide fingers. Then maybe you can put your crown first, take an exhalation there, take a break, then inhale and rise up. That's the way we should do Chakrasana. Now regarding pranayama, there was a question. After I talk, then it's open. You any questions you can ask? I will explain. Yeah, there is one more regarding Shirshasana. Regarding Shirshasana, also I'll speak. Please mute your phone. Now, regarding in pranayama, which point we have to hold the breath after inhale or exhale? We have to apply Mula Bandha. I'll explain that process once again. Please mute your call. Yeah. See, in pranayama, there are 3 bandhas. Jalandhara bandha, Mula bandha, Udhyana bandha. 3 bandhas are there when we are doing the pranayama. Nadi Shuddhi, Ujjayi, any of these pranayama. First, what is the bandha? Jalandhara bandha. So, best position for pranayama is Vajrasana. So, inhale, fold your legs, exhale. Then here, chest should become straight. Open up your shoulders, back erect. Now, in this position, put the chin down. What is that called? Jalandhara bandha. Jal means mesh. Mesh on the neck. So that is Jalandhara bandha. The benefit of that is, I'll tell you what is the benefit. Now, when I sit straight, slowly the back will become like this. After some time, maybe after 2 rounds, 3 rounds, aisa ho jayega. Especially in your, if you are doing Sukhasana, that's all. It will become like this. So, but pranayama cannot be done like that. Your chest has to come up. How to do that? That is why they did this Jalandhara bandha. So, when I put the chin down and focus that the chin is down, if my chest is not up, if I am sitting like this, after some time the neck will pain here because my back is not straight. So what I will do, I will bring it up automatically so that my neck doesn't pain. So my neck doesn't pain, the chest has come up. So the back becomes straight. See the trick that all the rishis have used. Why they asked to put the chin down? One of the reasons is this. No, all this they have thought about. So when you put the chest, after some time you find my chin is not touching the chest. So then you will keep pushing. At that time the neck will start paining. Then I will have to forcibly lift my chest so the neck doesn't pain. So this comes. Now that is Jalandhara bandha. Jalandhara bandha is continuously on while practicing pranayama. Okay, so that is the first point. Now, second point is when to do Mula bandha, when to do Dhyana bandha. Mula bandha is the sphincter or anus lock. That is done after inhalation. So when I inhale, I have filled the lungs. Now I am holding the breath. This is the time when the anus should be locked. Chin is locked always. You have to pull the anus and keep it tight. So after inhaling, when you are holding the breath, that time you have to lock the Mula bandha. Clear? Now, then I start exhaling. chest comes down, everything goes, lungs is empty. This is the time you have to support your lungs because lungs is empty. So the self weight of the lungs will start pulling the air because there is no air in the lungs. No. To prevent that lungs from pulling the air on its own, you have to support the diaphragm from the bottom. So after exhalation, pull the stomach inside. Pull it inside so that the lungs will not pull the air. That is the reason why Mula Bandha is done. So what is the reason why Jalandhara Bandha is done? I told you. What is the reason why Udyana Bandha? So after exhaling, when you pull the stomach, this is called Udyana Bandha. Udyana means flying up. Udyana means flying up. Bandha means lock. So flying up lock. Mula Bandha is done after inhalation when you hold your breath. Udyana Bandha is done after exhalation when you hold your breath. And the moment the inhalation starts, the stomach should be released. The Udyana Bandha is released, you have to start inhaling. That's how you have to do it. So I have explained the question regarding pranayama. That was the only question I received. Then one more question which I received is regarding Shirshasana. See, so first, okay, I will explain this. Shirshasana is an inverted pose. The entire body weight comes inwards, reverse the body weight. Now, there has to, and the full body is in the air, and the only parts of the body on the floor are the forearm, the elbow to the arm, and your head. So this arm, and your head. These are the only things on the ground, and your entire body weight is in the air. So there has to be a connection between the upper body and till the tip of your toe. All these connections are important for getting proper balance. So your arm should be strong, neck should be strong, shoulder should be strong, upper body should be strong, stomach should become tighter and tighter so that the weight of the leg is connected through the stomach to the upper body. Then your legs should be strong. Everything should be connecting. Lateral body should be strong, otherwise you will fall to the side. So that connection happens only with experience. Whatever theory I will tell, all hawa mein jayega. So keep practicing, keep practicing. Now I will show you the step by step how to reach there. The first step of Shirshasana is folded leg balancing. Folded, remember the words, folded leg balancing.
Folded leg balance.
Folded leg balancing, not leg balancing. Okay. So, for some of the techniques before keeping the hand and leg, hand and head. So when you interlock your fingers, keep the little finger, don't cross the little finger like this. If you do that, it will pain. So keep the little finger without crossing. Keep it one below the other, like this. You saw that? Now you hope you can see me. So don't interlock, I repeat, don't interlock the pinky fingers, the little finger. Keep one finger inside the other. So both the little finger will touch the floor. Both the little finger. It will not be cutting. Don't cut it. Okay? That is the first thing. Now, so once you keep that much on the floor, now can you see me? Some people are putting some comments. Yeah. So once you do that, the distance, the angle from the center to one elbow will be 45 degree. Other elbow also will be 45 degree. So from center, almost 45 this side, 45 this side. Or you can say it will be almost like your knee distance, something like that. Knee distance, little forearm distance, like this. Your forearm, forearm, forearm. It's almost like forearm, forearm, forearm. It's like a equilateral triangle. Then once you're firm on the grip, then put the head down with an exhalation. Put the crown. So don't keep your head on the hand. This is wrong. Some people do that without knowledge. The head will rest on the mat, not on the hand. Hand is only guiding. It's not taking the load. So keep your crown on the mat and the hand will be free. Once you're there, as I said, first is getting the folded leg balance. So first, when you lift the leg, it will be a little back. So walk forward, walk forward, walk forward. Try to bring your weight to the front, weight to the head side. Now lift your one leg, try to get the balance.
Now take the other leg, get balance here. You saw that. If you do this, half the job is done. See, I'm already balancing now. See? So, first job is to learn that. How to get folded leg balancing. So keep your legs close to the body, Take one leg upwards. Then try to take the other leg up. See, now I got the balance already. So people,
Sir, I'm not able to.
they jump like this. See, they jump. That's the problem. Tring, they want to jump. No. First you go to folded leg balancing like this. Get this balance. Now slowly you can take one leg and take the other leg.
Sir, I'm not able to do Chakrasana nicely.
While coming back also, bend the leg first. Keep it on the stomach. Then keep the leg down.
So the steps I told you, I'll repeat it once again. Interlock your fingers. Keep the pinky finger one inside the other. Don't keep it crossing, cutting. No cutting on the fingers. Keep a U shape with your palm, U shape, so that the crown will go inside the palm. Keep the elbows approximately forearm distances. Don't keep it wide. Don't keep it close. Keep it center.
I'll go to quadrant.
So that is 45 degrees with the center. Keep the
Sir, I'll
crown.
go to quadrant.
No talking, please. When I'm explaining, please don't talk, Tanmay.
Put the head down. Then with an inhalation, straighten your knee. Try to shift the weight. Don't keep the weight backside. Lift your heel, walk forward, shift the weight forward. Bend one leg. Try to balance. Bend the other. See how I took it. So from here, I have come very close to the head. After that, took one leg. Got the balance. Now I can balance. Took the other. See, I got the balance. Try to learn this first. Once you have learned that, slowly you can take it up. See, you'll not lose the balance there. I took it back, then took it up. Like that. While coming back also, first bend the leg. Bring it on the stomach. Take an inhale here. Then exhale, leg down. Inhale, knee down. Exhale, balasana.
So try to learn folded leg balancing. Gradually it will come. See, whatever theory I tell, it will not work. You have to keep on practicing so that you will get there someday or the other. Don't worry. I was also like you only several years back. All these things I learned just with experience only, not from theory. I've read, but whatever I learned is with my own experience. That's it. Yeah, I've completed all the questions that were asked. Now it's open session, so anybody can ask any question. Whatever I know, I'll reply.
I'll go drink some water.
Go and come.
Sir, can you explain the halasana? The halasana is the one which I'm not able to do after the sarvangasana, getting the entire legs back. What is the technique to be used for that?
Who is that?
Krishna Sai here.
Sai
Sir.
Krishna.
Yeah.
See, when you do Sarvangasana, I think earlier you were not even doing Sarvangasana, right?
Correct. Today, now I'm able to do sarvangasana. Correct. After that, the legs are not fully going back in a sense.
See, you have to go slow on this because see, when halasana happens, the cervical spine, so above your thoracic spine till the neck, that neck bone, all the spinal connections there, they stretch intensely in halasana.
Sir, what is halasana?
Okay.
So you have to go slow on this. So don't worry. So I'll tell you the right way to do it. So once
Okay.
in Sarvangasana,
Sir, what is Balasana?
I will show you.
Bala.
Wait, no, have some patience. Wait, you relax. Don't be in hurry. Relax, Tanmaya. I want you to slow down first. Tanmaya, you have to slow down. First thing is slowing down. Then only you can learn.
Yes, sir.
So in Sarvangasana, so the knee straightness. Try to observe knee straightness. If you bend the knee, the improvement that you may be able to touch the floor if you bend the knee. But the areas which are supposed to stretch in Halasana will not stretch. That is the thing. So it's a compromise on the stretch. So keep the knee straight. That's an important point. And don't push too much. If you push too much, your neck will sprain. All the side, all the muscles will sprain. So don't worry. First thing is, as I told you, as I told Anju also, don't worry. Let it take its time. There is no hurry to to go into Chakrasana. Let it come whenever it comes. Enjoy the process of learning those asanas. Just enjoy the process. Don't worry too much about whether you are able to do it or not. So let it happen, take it. Same way, Sai Krishna also, let it take its own time. Let it take 6 months, no problem. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, no problem. Some people are not able to halasana after 1 year also. They are not in a hurry.
Yeah.
Let it take its time. We cannot be violent against ourselves. So I'll explain the techniques for halasana. So first I inhale, take the arms over your head. Exhale, keep your leg together. Now inhale, take both the legs up. 90 degrees. Exhale, bring the arms down. Then Trini, inhale. So here you have to roll up. So you have to use the strength of your elbow, palm, everything on the floor. More so on the upper arm. So from your elbow towards the shoulder. That strength should be utilized. So from here, roll up and support your back with an inhalation. See, I'm slowing down the breath. You can see my stomach, how it is moving. I'm not looking at directly, I'm looking at the toe. I can see that only in the background. Finally, I inhale again. Then, while exhaling, don't bend the knee. So what you can do is, keep the hip a little backward here. Don't keep it straight because you may fall. Don't go directly there. So keep a little hip down and bend it. That's all. You can stay there, no problem. Keep the knee straight.
So in this, I'm not able to.
Slowly, don't worry. Don't tell me what you cannot do. Okay, then slowly, whenever you're ready, you will reach there. Because the neck will pull. The back of the neck will pull. Your back, all these areas will stretch in
So
Hala.
this asana I do with bending the knees.
Okay, please keep quiet now. First you observe. So try to keep the knee straight. So if you don't do like this, then the effect on the neck is lost. Effect on the back, everything is lost. So try to stop where the knee starts bending. This is enough for me. This is enough. Then gradually your body will automatically stretch. The moment you do this, it is compromised because the stretch is gone. You're taking a bypass. The stretch on the back and the neck, everything is lost. So keeping the knee straight, stop at the point where you cannot go further. Keeping the knee straight. So automatically the body will start pulling because the leg is not bending. No, the leg will pull the body. The moment you bend the leg, the asana will be gone. You will not improve. So keeping the neck straight, try to go down. This one. This is also fine. So get this Sarvangasana proper first. If your Sarvangasana is good, the neck is already stretched very well. Then there is nothing to be done much. It will automatically go. So try to keep the knee straight while going down. Knee straight. It can reach here, no problem. It's okay. Don't worry. Gradually it will become deeper. Gradually it will become deeper. It will touch. So try to keep the knee straight while going in Halasana. And stop where you find it should not be done to beyond that.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Hello.
Anybody else? Any other queries?
Sir, I have a query, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I can touch my toes on the floor, but breathing is not so good. It becomes difficult for me to breathe longer. So what to do?
Srinivas.
No, sir. Kishore.
Sure, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So breathing is becoming tough there. So
Yes, sir.
this is all again matter of experience only. What I suggest is stop where your breath is convenient. Instead of
Okay.
struggling there, try to stay in a position where your breath is properly happening. Some of the reasons why it's tough is like because the back stretch is not full. Take few more months or years to get that stretch on the neck, back, and all. When you are fully stretched, it is possible to breathe very slowly. I have tried that even in Karnapidasana, which is the next level of halasana when you bend the knee and close it with the ears. Close the ears with that time.
Correct.
It's possible to breathe very slow, whatever we are doing.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
so Sridhar here.
Yes.
So Sridhar here.
Yeah.
When we do halasana,
Yeah.
okay, the backbone it just bends towards inside. Is that fine, or it should be straight?
Inside means
Inside, because I'm trying to bring my groin near my head, so it bends, little curves like.
yeah, the back will be rounded only.
Okay, fine. No need to. It should not require that it should be straight, no?
No. In halasana, it is a full rounding will come. The full
Okay.
back will be rounding.
Because when you say that take hip towards your head, so it bends and rounds.
Yeah, here it will round, fully it will round. See,
Okay.
their back is rounding.
Okay, fine.
It will round.
No, little more down, little more down. I'm talking about little more down, near, just below hip also little it bends.
Yeah, it will round. It will not be straight. It will fully
Okay,
round.
fine. Thank you.
Like that. Yeah.
Any other queries?
Sir, Himashri here.
Yeah.
Sir, like
Yes.
normally we Stiram Sukham Asan,
Yeah.
and in each asan, but we are in each asan for each breathe we are trying to improve our pose, like trying to bend or trying to twist. Stiram Sukham Asam, sir.
Yeah. See, as I said, there are 3 stages in whatever you said. Stiram, Sukham, Asana. So the rule says that we are supposed to stop in that position where the breath is fine. What I mentioned to Kishore also, he was asking me. So, for example, when I'm doing Paschimottanasana, so inhaling, take the arms up, exhaling, bend forward. Now, I explained this during Pavana Muktasana, what you question you asked. So, from here now I have to inhale. So, I inhale. I think my inhalation is good. Then if I find I'm able to stay here properly, then I have to improve.
Okay.
A little 1 inch I went down. Now I feel that I'm comfortable here also. I'm able to breathe properly and I'm not feeling too much of pressure and too much of struggle. I'm able to balance. So I'm able to strike a balance between resistance and action. See, when I do a movement, it's an action. The body will resist. The body will ask me to go back, lay down, relax, bro. Okay? Because that is the, like my inertia. Inertia is like that. But I'm trying to bring that inertia a little more to the action side. So when I bend forward, now I feel I am comfortable here. No, I cannot be here forever because this is now not the full asana. I can still go a little more down and still be comfortable. A little more down and still be comfortable. And after
But in every asana, I'm not able to.
no problem. Practice. Another practice. Yoga is for a lifetime. Some asana will take 10 years to come. Some asanas will take 20 years to come. What will you do now?
Not able to bend forward.
It will come maybe after 10 years. Possible. Some asana, for me, I'm taking several years. I'm not able to do the asana. Some asanas will take 20 years for me. Maybe at the age of 70, I will understand, this is how I do the asana. Quite possible. I have a lot of patience. So every day, the point where the action and the resistance equalizes, that it has to improve. So I should slowly have to raise the bar. Now I'm here. After 3 months, I find this is a very easy position for me. There is no, it is not there is no action. This is a very free position. Now I have to improve. I have to improve and go a little more closer. Now I find, this is also easy now. I'm able to enjoy this position with proper breath. This is also easy. After 6 months, I find. After 1 year, I find this is very, very easy. There is no effort, nothing at all. It's not, there is no action. So body has allowed me to go further. So I catch my ankle, catch my wrist in front. And then I go a little more down. And I find now, after 1 year, I'm able to very, very finely relax in the final position. So every day when you practice, you have to improve to the next level, raise the bar, to the next level, to the next level, next, check. If you find, no, this is what I can do maximum, beyond this if I do, it is violence against myself, then you stop there. Definitely the body will not allow you to stay here. The body will say after 3 months, "Arey yaar, ye to bahut easy ho gaya. You can definitely do little more better than." Go down. Nothing wrong. It's not a violence against you. You're able to enjoy the same style of breathing, same enjoyment, whatever you're saying, Stiram Sukham Asanam. I'm very, very in Sukham state here also. Body will allow you to do that. After 2 years, here I am getting Sukham here also. Well and fine, go ahead. Here also. So that's why gradually you have to improve the level of your practice.
Sir, shall I add one more point to it? Sir, shall I add one more point to it?
Yes, please add, Sridhar. Go ahead.
Yeah, Madam, your question was Stiram Sukham Asanam. When put this question, as Sir explained, it is not only to the final pose. When you observe Sir, when he calls, first he says inhale and then go down. Then he says that till there you stay wherever you can. Then again you go ahead. So that is Sukham for you. Again, if you keep going down. So every step Sir says, extend to it and then go, then go. Then Stiram Sukham Asanam is not for the final posture also. So every breath it counts.
Yeah, right.
So if you observe Sir's instruction, so every step he says stay there. Then again inhale and go there. Again inhale and go there. Then finally reach the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. For every asana, it is like while inhalation, sometimes we do Stiram Sukham, and as in some asana for exhalation we do, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Purasana for exhalation, we stay at one position, and inhalation we try to improve.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so it is different. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, the reason is, for example, see, some asanas like Dhanurasana. Dhanurasana is an upward moving asana. So
Yeah.
you are moving upward and you are expanding the body upwards. So the lung is also opening up. So improvement in that asana happens while inhalation, Dhanurasana, because you're rising, you're expanding and lifting the body. Okay. Whereas when you do Paschimottanasana, the improvement in the asana happens while exhalation.
Yeah.
Because your lung is getting compressed there. You cannot improve the asana while inhaling. It's not possible.
Right.
Yeah. Similar way, some asanas like one more asana was there which I thought. So focus on that action point. So whenever that action happens, that time you have to improve. Dhanurasana improves while inhaling. Paschimottanasana improves while exhaling. So it's like that. Yeah. Each asana has got its, and all the twisting asanas, keep it in mind. When you're doing a twisting asana, for example, if you're doing Vakrasana, when the twist happens, the lung becomes shorter. And all the twisting asanas will improve only while exhaling. It cannot improve while inhaling.
Yeah.
Okay? Unless there is an upward movement. For example, if you talk about Parivarta Janu Shirshasana, it's a twisting asana, but it's an upward moving asana. You are opening up the chest and inhaling and lifting up, opening up. So there is space for the lungs to expand.
Naukasana also.
Yeah?
Naukasana also.
Yeah, Naukasana is also an upward moving asana. It's upward moving and your chest is rising up. So
Yeah.
it's expanding and inhaling and rising up. So inhaling and rising up are in one language. So when Bhujangasana is lifting up, you are increasing the height of your body, opening up the lungs. So the asana will improve while inhaling. It will not improve while exhaling. Whereas Chakrasana is a full body bending, where there is no space for the lung. Chakrasana is also lifting up. Twisting improvement will happen while exhaling. So most of the twisting asanas will be done with exhalation and improvement. Whereas all the asanas which are shrinking, like Pavanamuktasana, then asana, Shashankasana, all of them are going down. They are rolling your body inward. Those asanas will improve while exhaling. So observe that. So automatically our body will tell, "Arey, yahan pe to exhale nahi hona chahiye, yahan pe inhale nahi hona chahiye," like that. Automatically, when we keep on practicing, you will on yourself start discovering that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So one question.
Yeah.
Sir, why don't we close eyes during asana? Because closing eyes is something going away from distraction. So it is good, no, sir? Closing eyes in asanas.
Going away, but in asana, I have tried all these. What I have learned is that when your eyes are closed while asana is going on, you will become lethargic.
Oh, okay.
Lethargy comes into your mind. Because
some asanas you lose the balance also. You'll not stay.
Vrikshasana and all, definitely you cannot close your eyes. Asanas, Vrikshasana,
Balancing for other asanas, like sometimes I feel like, okay, I should close my eyes so that I can concentrate on my breathing. My breathing is smoother when I close my eyes.
Yeah, see, but in Hatha Yoga, all the asanas, there is a specified drishti. All the asanas. No, there is very less asanas where there is no drishti. Only when you're relaxing, there is no drishti. So like Ekagra drishti, Parshva drishti, Bhrumadhya drishti, Padayoragra drishti, Angushta drishti, Hastagra drishti, Navi drishti, all asanas there is a drishti. Why it is mentioned is to keep the awareness on. See, but I'll tell you why I'm telling this. I used to do this earlier. When in my childhood, I used to practice. Then after some months or years, I found out that it becomes, you feel like not doing the next one. You become very, very subdued because you are very relaxed in that position. For example, I'm saying, like, say, Shashankasana. Now I lie down here in Shashankasana and I am relaxed, ekdam relaxed. So I feel like closing the eyes actually. Now, when I come out of it, I don't feel like doing Ushtrasana. This is the reality I've observed. So then I realized why they are asking to look at the nose, why they are asking to look at one point. That is to keep the awareness, active awareness.
Okay.
Otherwise, the lethargy comes into the practice. After 3-4 hours, you don't feel like going. I mean, for the next asana. So keeping the awareness important. And as I said, your point is very valid. You have to relax that position. But relaxation has to happen with awareness, with proper awareness on the breath and drishti. So in Trishtana, in Hatha Yoga, in Ashtanga Yoga, there is Trishtana. Trishtana, the first point is breath. First is the breath. Second point is the drishti. 3 points are there. Third point is the posture. The first they talk about breathing. Second they talk about looking, where to look. Third they talk about the posture. So all the 3 elements are important while practicing asanas. Keep the drishti on. So I see some people, they like to close the eyes. Sarvangasana, some people like. But Sarvangasana, where is the drishti? You have to look at the toe. That keeps the mind active. It doesn't bring the lethargy into the practice. That is the reason why I say, not me. The texts are saying you have to look at the proper drishti.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sir, Radhika here. One question around Vashishthasana.
Yeah.
there is, I think, the hand position and the hip height. Two things which you mentioned during the asanas are not correct. So
Okay.
can you just specify how it should be exactly?
Now, so many of the things, what they happen is, I'll tell you, if you don't, the first thing is keeping the palm by the chest. So don't keep it below the shoulder. I'm not saying that somebody is doing that, but these are, I'm talking about the common deviations. So try to keep it little back, not too much back, just keep it somewhere just below the elbow. You will feel, yeah, this is the right location, like that. Now, keeping the legs together, your standing toe, you will take a push-up. Now, while taking the push-up, don't come like this, or don't come like this. So if you do this, you see what will happen. This will come. See my back, the buttocks is lifting high, body is not straight. So the placement, and some people, if they keep the hand in front, they try to push up like this. Okay. Now they lift. Now you see the shoulder is paining because the elbow and the shoulder are not in one line. This is also wrong. So ideally, the hand should be here. It's a straight line, right? So the first thing, what did I explain? Keep the hand by the side of the chest, like this. Now, while taking the push-up, try to bring the body in one line, like a push-up, like that. Bring a push-up. Then, when you turn, take a push-up. Now, when you turn, the body will not buckle. You saw that. It should not go up, not go down. Keep it in one line, like that. The same way, I'll show a side view, then it will be better for you. Straight line, turn. Don't take it upward, don't take it downward. Keep it in the same plane, like that. And shoulder and the wrist will be one line. Go down. So try to take a straight line push-up. Try to bring the body like a straight line, come in that high plank, and then turn the body. So I came up like this, turn it. So that. So your hip will not go down, hip will not go up. It will come in one good line. That's the two things. So keeping the palm by the chest, first point, and trying to take a proper push-up. These are the two things you have to take in mind. And when I turn the body, one leg, the top leg will be in front of the back leg. So when I lift the right arm up, the right leg will be in front of the left leg. That's it.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you.
Any other queries? Otherwise, we are going to close now. Thank you. Thanks for attending. Inhale, take your hands up. With that, now see, Tanmay, see, you brought it down. See, you did not focus on taking it up only. First, you take the hand up, elbow, straighten your elbow. Straighten the elbow. See how it makes a difference. You are not thinking about that. What are you doing like this? Because there is no focus. So inhale, take the arm straight up. Join at the top. Exhale hard. Where is the heart? Here, not here. Okay. Close the eyes. Inhale again. Together. Ananta sansara samudratara naukaitabhyam guru bhakti tabhyam vairagya samrajyada pujanabhyam namo namaha Sri Guru Padukabhyam Namo Namaha Sri Guru Padukabhyam Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Exhale hands up. Exhale hands down. Relax. Thank you. Thanks for coming for the class. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Speaker here.
Yeah.
Sudarshan will join.
Yeah.
He'll join in my ID only today.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're able to see the map fully, right? Because I've changed the place. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.